Hi, to all our beautiful souls who are tuning in today, welcome to 30 Minutes Exploring Coaching. Well, today we have with us here someone with a background in psychology, which allows her to integrate her knowledge into human behavior, like helping her clients not only to transform, but to yield their ultimate results in them. Not only that, she managed to spread her wings into areas like emotional healings or even subconscious reprogramming. How about that? Right? So also living life to the fullest, areas like dancing, modeling, or even speaking various languages. And also not forgetting an avid global traveler. I'm speechless now. Well, I can go on and on rapping about her, but it would be great to hear it from our beautiful coach, Renee Sarah Lim. Renee?
Thank you so much, Remy. What an introduction. I've never heard myself be spoken like that before. You just forget, you know. So I really, really love that. And thank you so much for having me on. I'm so grateful to have this and share this experience with you as, yeah, my journey started from when I was in Malaysia, like when I used to live there.
Well, Coach Renee, what brings you to this beautiful coaching journey? Could you share with us? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great question. So I started my coaching journey because I grew up in Malaysia and I was born in Singapore. And growing up there, I had been hit in school, I've been hit at home. I learned essentially that it was unsafe to be myself. And so when I moved to Australia, I was living out my life with really toxic relationships, really bad relationship with my family. I didn't know what I wanted. I was just average in my life. And this is really when I went to Spain. So I lived in Spain for a year and a half. And during that period of time, I was, yes, I was traveling, but at the same time, COVID hit. So during COVID, I was locked up for 3 months. I had nothing but myself and my own thoughts. I couldn't even leave my house for 3 months, genuinely. And so within that time, I asked myself, what did I want to do? And the one thing that kept coming back to me was helping people. So what did I want to do with my psychology degree? Right. I want to be able to help people as soon as possible. And so when I came back to Australia, I made the commitment to really dive into helping others. And that's when I really started my coaching journey, working at the Coaching Institute, um, learning about healing, learning about subconscious reprogramming, doing all the things I can and committing to myself so that I can share that with others and inspire others as well.
Wow. Wow. Well, you brought up a very interesting point just now, Coach Renee, when you say that, well, when you're in Malaysia and your life used to be like you're in a toxic kind of relationship, then you thought of like, well, perhaps by moving over to Spain and all that will help you like, well, poof, all the problems away and all that, which a lot of people would think that kind of movements method work. But does it work that way? If I have problems and all that, I just move to other places and all that? What do you think?
No. So a lot of the times it's very common to go out traveling, solo traveling, and I thought that would find myself, and it is character building. But at the same time, when we don't really look inwards and heal the parts of ourselves that have been pushed down for so long, it's going to come back out. We're just in a different environment. We're just playing out the same behaviors, the same habits, the same patterns in a different country.
Wow.
And so that's what I found that happened with myself. I was still playing out the same patterns and toxicity, but in a different country. And it wasn't until I really looked inward, that's when I saw the change that happened. And it's still a lifelong journey, constantly.
That brings me back to the saying of wherever you go, there you are. You can be in Spain, you can be in UK, Australia, wherever you are, there you are. Awesome, right? Well, Coach Renee, is there any particular group of people that you specifically work with most of the time? And if there is, could you share with us normally what group of people that you would work with most?
Yep. So my clients range from ages, say 20 to 40. And my clients have come to me because they feel really stuck. And when I say stuck, it means in an area of their life, whether that's their relationships, their career, their finances, it's like they're trying to achieve a certain goal, but no matter what they do, no matter what resources they're pulling out from, it still isn't really working for them. Like they're doing the things, they're listening to the podcasts, they're listening to the books, reading the books and going to the seminars, but there's just that one missing piece that isn't aligning for them to break through, to break through those roadblocks. And so when they come to me, it's like helping them get unstuck.
Um,
And that's where most of my clients are at the moment.
Well, a very good point that you brought up here in terms of stuck. I'm sure stuck means a different kind of stuck to many different people of different category. Well, I may feel that I'm stuck in my relationship. I may feel that I'm stuck in my career, or even I'm stuck in my business in certain aspect. So how, in what way, by engaging a coach into my life can help me to get unstuck? How does it work? Could you paint us a rough picture of, how do you help people to get so-called unstuck? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And this is such a good question because how, like what is coaching? What is it that we do? And it's really allowing them to realize the power within themselves. It's asking the right questions. I like to use the analogy that we all have a light, we all have the knowing within us, that voice, the light, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is for you, that is that we had that as children, and the environment, our parents, society, they just kept getting pushing down that light. This soil just keeps getting pushed down. And so the work that I do is essentially digging up that soil. It's really unpacking it, healing through traumas, going within and do the deep subconscious work so that they can release that from the body. So it is, when I talk about emotional releasing, it's releasing the feelings of being stuck. It's releasing those emotions so that we don't have to hold on to them anymore. And that goes down to the root. And each time you find that you feel lighter and lighter. And then implementing coaching. So what action steps and tools you can now take into place. And so that's really where I see most transformation, when you can really work on your internal world and also work on your external world so that you're really letting go of the past and moving forward into the future that you want to create.
Wow. Is this what we call something like a kind of a shadow work thing?
Yes. Shadow work, inner child work, future self work. There's just so many things that we can really tap into ourselves when we really know how to. And it's really having someone to guide you along that. But why I love the work so much is because one of the modalities that I use is called self-directed healing. So like the name sounds, it's self-directed back to you, so that the client is doing the work themselves. Yes, I am guiding and facilitating it, but they are essentially going to be releasing that emotion. They're going to go through the hard stuff so that they can come out and go through the pain rather than over or under it.
Oh, that's interesting. In fact, that brings me to an area of many say, Remy, if I were to engage a coach into my life to help me get unstuck, then my life will be very easy. Then I say, why? What do you mean by that? You know, they have this kind of perception that if I were to engage a coach, that means the coach will do all the work for me. How true is that, Renee, on this kind of perception?
Very untrue. um, we coaches do not do the work. Yes, you have to be committed. Like we always ask the question, are you committed to do the work? You need to be in a place in your life where you want it bad enough, or you are ready to commit to yourself enough to make this work. Because if you're not, you're unconsciously telling yourself like that it's not going to work at the end, that you are going to constantly set yourself up for it's all a mindset. You're going to constantly set yourself up for not being able to do the thing that you want to do. So from the beginning, I always say, have the mindset that you are going to make this work. Have the mindset that you are ready to commit to this. Because when you make that decision from the start, that's when I see, and that's when I can guarantee the most change and the most breakthrough, because you're committing to yourself, and you're also have that sense of readiness to make big change in your life.
Well, this word commitment seems to be scared of a lot of people. Does it take a really deep kind of commitment to go into a coaching session? You know, what kind of a level of commitment that you're talking about, Coach Renee? You know, can you share with us a little bit more to remove some of the fear that I'm sure a lot of our viewers or listeners out there, they say, wow, commitment. What kind of commitment?
Remy, I have to say, I still have commitment issues sometimes, and that's something I'm still working on.
Yeah.
Um, but it is, I suppose there is a bit of a negative connotation around that word. It's really a decision. I will, maybe if you want to call it that, rather than a commitment, but it's making the decision on a consistent basis. So every day when you wake up, I am going to do this thing. I decide that I'm going to prioritize myself today. I decide I'm going to take this action today. So that is the commitment. It is step by step, baby steps every day, but it's making a decision every day, and it has to be consistent. And in that sense, that is the commitment to yourself. But of course, there are going to be days when you're not going to have that, and that's completely okay as well. I definitely have my days, weeks, months, whatever. But it is a conscious decision, and one that you can also be kept accountable for.
Well said. Well, that at least removed some of my fear. You know, it doesn't sound so heavy getting into a coaching session with a coach. And what about there's another group of people that I come across with, and let me ask you this, Coach Renee, right? I seem to get these questions a lot too. Well, Coach, you know, it's good that people feel so-called stuck and all that. That's kind of good stuck because they are in a career, in a business and all that. But for me, I seems to be lost in my life. I don't have a sense of directions, and I can't see anything clear down the road or towards my future. How would a coach help me in terms of finding clarity in my life?
So that's another really, really powerful question. And one where I was going back to before, when I was talking about the light that we have that has been just pushed down and silenced for a very long time. And so to gain more clarity, it is removing the blocks. It's digging deep into why are we the way that we are? What is it that is standing in the way of the thing that we want? Maybe maybe you don't have clarity on your goals yet. Maybe you don't know what it is that you want. Maybe it is you need to remove, say, I don't want to use the word trauma, but those heavy emotions that are clouding clouding the path that you are wanting to take. Or maybe it's the conditioning, because we grow up and our parents and society tells us this is what you need to do, this is what is correct, this is like you need to get a job, you need to go to school, go to university, and so I completely missed that around. You go to school first, then you go to university, then you get a job. um and so you our parents kind of tell us what we should be doing, and that becomes a thought in our head, or the voices in our mind. And we have to kind of ask ourselves and step back, is this really my thoughts? Are these really who I am? Or is it something that has been told to me? Like, who am I really? And so it's really uncovering all of that as well. And what coaches do is to really give you that power to see for yourself by asking the right questions, by digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
So would that take how long? Maybe you can give me a rough picture, because let's say I am someone that, like you mentioned just now, that I have no directions and all that. Then I will engage you as my coach. How long will I need, to be so-called committed into this coaching session in order to see the kind of transformations happen? Does it take years, months?
The reason why I came into coaching, number one, because as I was in psychology, I realized that counseling itself, in my opinion, change is really slow. And in the experience of many others as well, they go back for X amount of time and they find that nothing's really changed, or there's been really minimal change. And the reason is because talk therapy or counseling works on a very conscious level, because you're constantly talking, you're going back into the past, and you're kind of reliving it again and again and again. And I found that humans shouldn't be placed in a category. So in psychology, we have like a DSM-5. You list out your symptoms, and this is what you have. You have depression, bipolar, this disorder, etc., etc. And so I was like, people are much more holistic than that. We have the psychological level, or the mental level, and then there's the physical level and the emotional level and the spiritual level. So I wanted to look at healing. I wanted to look at human well-being in the whole, and help people in its whole. So that holistic meaning its whole. And I found that to be able to do that, you need to really dig into a part of yourself that you are not aware of, being the unconscious layer. So we all have a subconscious mind, and that governs a lot of our behaviors, our thoughts, our patterns. And really being able to plug into that to find out what is it that has been trapped in there for so long, to really bring that to the surface, so that it's not, so that's why change can be quite transformational, even in one session. Or with my clients, I work with them for 3 months, because I find that the most change happens within 3 months. But even after one session, two sessions, they have massive shifts already. But to create more of that transformation in every area of your life, then 3 months I find is the best timing to work with clients. And I have about 10 sessions with them within the 3 months. So really helping in all levels on a holistic scale for healing and seeing them thrive by targeting each layer.
Well, that's a very interesting point that you mentioned just now, which I'm curious all this while when people talk about this kind of holistic approach. I didn't know that in coaching, there's still kind of holistic approach kind of method. Could you paint a little bit more deeper, Coach Renee, for those who are totally new to this coaching journey? Like, what do you mean by in terms of a holistic approach as compared to maybe just a normal therapy sessions or visit to psychiatrist or something like that, you know? Yeah. What
Yes.
difference? Yeah.
So yes, it's within therapy sessions, like I mentioned before, it works on a very conscious level. That's why change can be really slow.
Mhm.
It's almost like we're being kept in a loop, and to look at it holistically, it's to see what it is on the physical level, the body. Are you exercising enough? Are you taking care of the things that you're eating? What are you putting into your body? What is your skin absorbing? On the mental level, how is your mental well-being? What is going on up there? Are you taking care of that part of you psychologically? Emotional, right? We're very emotional beings, and so emotion gets trapped in the body. And when emotion gets trapped in the body, it can manifest, and there's been studies that show this, that it can manifest into disease. And it can manifest into many other things, like maybe the small examples would be like procrastination or self-doubt, um, all these little aspects of who we are. And when we really release these emotions, we're like onions. We kind of peel back the layer and then we find out there is more underneath. But once we really start to release those emotions that have been trapped, because they get trapped in our body, we can really start to feel a little bit lighter, and we start to see all aspects of our life shift as well, because our emotions, it really does come into play with our relationships, our finances, our career, our health. So to look at that in its whole, that's where I feel so passionate about, and to really allow for every area to target healing, to target growth and transformation.
Wow. Now I get it. Now I get it, Coach Renee, when you talk about from a holistic point of view. That's why when I feel stuck in one area, like you mentioned, like for example, the trap emotion in a person, it somehow not only it shows up in my career or in my business, but in my relationship as well. Which brings me to this one of the most frequently asked question, even not only to coaches, to a lot of people, is that, well, Coach Renee, you know, I seems to be attracting the same kind of person into my life, which I know is already a toxic kind of person. It's just that they come in different packages. But how come I can't see them until I'm involved with them? And there goes the same ending looping again and again.
Uh-huh.
How can coaching help me to break that cycle?
Wow. I know this one all too well, but
Yeah.
it's such a common thing to be attracting toxic relationships, and so we come into the world, and we see love from our parents, for example, and that's the first way and the first teaching of love, and that's come from the ones that loved us first, and so that's how we perceive love, and how we want that love as well when we become adults, um, and how we see ourselves as well. So there's a lot of aspects that play into this. Now, how coaching can really bring that and break those patterns is through creating awareness. So the first step to creating any change is awareness. We can't change anything that we are not aware of. And so what coaching can do is to bring to light the things that you cannot see about yourself, to bring to light, like shine a spotlight on the blind spots that you are blind to. And really bringing it up, because like I mentioned before, the unconscious mind, we can't see what we can't see. And what coaching does is actually bringing that up to light for you to now be aware of it and then create the change and really guide you through what patterns you have, what patterns you need to break, what patterns are not serving you, and now giving you that opportunity to be set free from those patterns and to change them.
Oh, very interesting. That means the first step towards creating transformation or changes is awareness. I hear you. Now that I know Coach Renee, well, okay, having this awareness is one thing. All right. A lot of people, maybe they say, oh, I know. But then they go back to the same pattern, right? So when it go, okay, let's go back to this holistic kind of approach in coaching, right? So now that, okay, if I were to come to you, Coach Renee, well, I'm aware now, okay? I'm attracting the same kind of women or guys into my life now, right? Okay, so what's next? What's next? You know, in terms of method or work that I need to do in the coaching. Let's say I engage you now into this. Okay, like let's do it. Right? What's next? Will I see the shift in me in 3 months' time? Right, on the next person that I'm going to be attracting, or is it that just going to be temporary when I'm with you? Then I say, oh, okay, and all that. Once the coaching session is over, I'm back to me.
Right. Wow. That's also a really good thing that you point out, because essentially, like I mentioned, bits and pieces before, we want to make sure that the transformation happens on a deep level so that when you are healing, you're not having to go back to those same patterns anymore. You're really here to create change on a deep level and change on a permanent scale as well. And I'm not saying that gonna be here and say that it's going to never come back, because it can. Like we're humans, things happen in life. And so the transformation is very individual. I couldn't give you a certain number or timeline or time frame for when transformation happens, because like I mentioned, there is the commitment aspect to how much you are committing to yourself. There is the aspect of your scale of trauma, or the level of emotions that you have held on to. What is your situation? So there's all these aspects that come into play. So it's very individual to each and every one. Everyone has a different journey. Everyone's on their different journey. And what I can say, though, is transformation really does happen quickly and on a permanent level.
So from what I'm hearing is that different individual has a different benchmark in terms of transformational happens at which benchmark that you set for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, well said. Well, now I have a better picture now. So Coach Renee, if there's one key important message that you would like our viewers or listeners out there who are looking into transformational kind of work or coaching, what would that message be, Coach Renee?
It would be to invest in yourself, because this is the greatest investment you would make in your life. The amount that you put into yourself, the time, the effort, the energy, it's going to set you up for your future self. And I find that it is so invaluable to have someone shine those lights for you, to really guide you along the way, to fast track your growth. And if that's your goal, that's something you should definitely look into. If that's something that is calling out to you, because if something is calling out to you and something is resonating with you, that's something worth looking down. That's a path worth looking down. And that's something I will never, ever regret or look back on. And I really, truly believe investing in yourself is the best way to go.
Wow. So now I know that you work hard on your job, you make a living, and work hard on yourself, you make a fortune. That's what you meant by investing in yourself. Wow. Amazing. Well, being aware of the time, well, for those listening up here today and tuning in, if you feel that what we discuss or share about just now resonate with what you're facing or you're being challenged at this moment, feel free to get in touch with any one of us. Coach Renee can be reached at her website or her emails below. So do I. So do reach out to any one of us, right? Don't feel that you're alone when you feel stuck. You can always reach out to any one of us. So till then, on 30 minutes exploring coaching, thank you for tuning in. Bye bye. See you.